This is the Wikipedia page for Kwanzaa.
You're listening to the podcast where we read Wikipedia articles every day and provide commentary. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and consider donating at patreon.com/WikiListen podcast so we can continue to create this show. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at WikiListen and at WikiListen.com. Welcome to WikiListen. I'm Victor Varnado, KSN, and this is Rachel Teichman, LMSW.
Hi. For the river in Angola, see Kwanzaa River. For the currency, see Angolan Kwanzaa. For the album by Albert Heath, see Kwanzaa the First. Kwanzaa is an annual celebration of African American culture that is held from December 26th to January 1st, culminating in a communal feast called Karamu, usually held on the 6th day. It was created by Maulana Karenga based on African harvest festival traditions from various parts of Africa, including West and Southeast Africa. Kwanzaa was first celebrated in 1966.
History and etymology. American Maulana Karenga created Kwanzaa in 1966 during the aftermath of the Watts riots as a specifically African-American holiday. Karenga said his goal was to give Blacks an alternative to the existing holiday of Christmas and give Blacks an opportunity to celebrate themselves and their history rather than simply imitate the practice of the dominant society. For Karenga, a major figure in the Black Power movement of the 1960s and 70s, the creation of such holidays also underscored the essential premise that you must have a cultural revolution before the violent revolution. The cultural revolution gives identity, purpose, and direction.
According to Karenga, the name Kwanzaa derives from the Swahili phrase Matunda ya Kwanza, meaning first fruits. First fruits festivals exist in southern Africa, celebrated in December and January with the southern solstice. And Karenga was partly inspired by an account he read of the Zulu festival Umkosi Wokushwama. It was decided to spell the holiday's name with an additional A so that it would have a symbolic 7 letters.
During the early years of Kwanzaa, Karenga said it was meant to be an alternative to Christmas. He believed Jesus was psychotic and Christianity was a white religion that Black people should shun. As Kwanzaa gained mainstream adherence, Karenga altered his position so practicing Christmas would not be alienated, stating in the 1977 book Kwanzaa, a celebration of family, community, and culture, that Kwanzaa was not created to give people an alternative to their own religion or religious holiday. Many African Americans who celebrate Kwanzaa do so in addition to observing Christmas.
After its initial creation in California, Kwanzaa spread outside the United States.
Nguzo Saba, the 7 Principles. Kwanzaa celebrates what its founder called the 7 Principles of Kwanzaa, or Nguzo Saba, originally Nguzo Saba, the 7 Principles of African Heritage. They were developed in 1965, a year before Kwanzaa itself. These 7 principles comprise Kawade, a Swahili word meaning common.
Each of the 7 days of Kwanzaa is dedicated to one of the principles as follows.
1. Umoja, unity, to strive for and to maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race.
2. Kujichagulia, self-determination, to define and name ourselves as well as to create and speak for ourselves.
3. Ujima, collective work and responsibility, to build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together.
4. Ujama, cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses and to profit from them together.
5. Nia, purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness.
6. Kumba, creativity, to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it.
7. Imani, faith, to believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle.
Symbols. Kwanzaa celebratory symbols include a mat, mkeka, on which other symbols are placed.
A Karana Candle holder for 7 candlesticks.
Mishuma Saba, 7 candles.
Mazao, crops.
Mahindi, corn, to represent the children celebrating, and corn may be part of the holiday meal.
A Kikambi Cha Umoja, unity cup, for commemorating and giving shukrani, thanks, to African ancestors.
Zawadi, gifts.
Supplemental representations include Nguzo Saba poster, the black, red, and green Bandera flag, and African books and artworks, all to represent values and concepts reflective of African culture and contribution to community building and reinforcement.
Observances. Families celebrating Kwanzaa decorate their households with objects of art, colorful African cloth such as kente, especially the wearing of kaftans by women, and fresh fruits that represent African idealism. It is customary to include children in Kwanzaa ceremonies and to give respect and gratitude to ancestors. Libations are shared, generally with a common chalice, kikombe sha umoja, passed around to all celebrants. Non-African Americans also celebrate Kwanzaa. The holiday greeting is Joyous Kwanzaa.
A Kwanzaa ceremony may include drumming and musical selections, libations, a reading of the African pledge and the principles of blackness, reflection on the Pan-African colors, a discussion of the African principle of the day or a chapter in African history, a candle lighting ritual, artistic performance, and finally a feast of faith, Karamu ya Iman. The greeting for each day of Kwanzaa is Habari Gani, which is Swahili for how are you?
At first, observers of Kwanzaa avoided the mixing of the holidays or its symbols, values, and practice with other holidays, as doing so would violate the principle of kujichagulia, self-determination, and thus violate the integrity of the holiday, which is partially intended as a reclamation of important African values. Today, some African American families celebrate Kwanzaa along with Christmas and New Year.
Cultural exhibitions include the Spirit of Kwanzaa, an annual celebration held at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, featuring interpretive dance, African dance, song, and poetry.
Adherence. The popularity of celebration of Kwanzaa has declined with the waning of the popularity of the Black separatist movement. Kwanzaa observation has declined in both community and commercial contexts. University of Minnesota professor Keith Mays did not report exact figures, noting that it is also difficult to determine these for the 3 other main African American holidays. Mays added that white institutions now celebrate it.
The National Retail Federation has sponsored a marketing survey on winter holidays since 2004, and in 2015 found that 1.9% of those polled plan to celebrate Kwanzaa, about 6 million people in the United States.
Starting in the 1990s, the holiday became increasingly commercialized, with the first Hallmark card being sold in 1992, and there has been concern about this damaging the holiday's values.
Recognition. Stjepan Mestrovic, a sociology professor at the Texas A&M University, sees Kwanzaa as an example of postmodernism. According to Mestrovic, postmodernist and modern society may view real traditions as racist, sexist, or otherwise oppressive. But since living in a world where nothing is true is too terrifying to most people, nice and synthetic traditions like Kwanzaa have been created to cope with the nihilistic, individualistic modern society.
Maya Angelou narrated a documentary film about Kwanzaa, The Black Candle, written and directed by M.K. Asante Jr. and featuring Chuck D.
The first Kwanzaa stamp, designed by Cynthia St. James, was issued by the United States Post Office in 1997, and in the same year, Bill Clinton gave the first presidential declaration marking the holiday. Subsequent presidents George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump also issued greetings to celebrate Kwanzaa. How did you think you did on your pronunciation of names?
Not well.
I also think I did not do very well. But I will say this to everybody out there. Joyous Kwanzaa to you.
Joyous Kwanzaa. This has been the Wikipedia article, Kwanzaa.
Thanks for listening to WikiListen. To support the show, go to patreon.com/WikiListen podcast and find us on social media at WikiListen and at wikilisten.com.